west. It will be breezy across northern areas, but milder with highs of 11 Celsius. Northern Ireland will see a mix of cloud and sunny spells, with perhaps the odd spot of drizzle across the higher ground. Highs here will reach 9 or 10 Celsius. Heading into this evening, and we see little change, with the rather cloudy but largely dry weather continuing, and that is the weather is shaping up for the rest of the day.
It's that time of the day. The GBNews Tavern has been opened, and we're joined this evening by Theo Paphitis. Welcome to Talking Pints.
Thank you, Nigel. Cheers.
Cheers. Is that good?
It's lovely, thank you. I see you're on the hard stuff.
Yeah, just having a little bit of a rest, you know, a little bit of a rest. Now, Theo, I know, difficult subject, but COVID's been pretty blooming awful for you all round, hasn't it?
I'm a shopkeeper. It's been terrible shopkeepers. We've been officially shut down for much of last year. And then, obviously, just before Christmas, we got unofficially shut down, stealth-like,
yes,
when they put the frighteners on absolutely everybody.
Yeah.
And now you've got to work from home, and you can only go to work if you're going to party.
That was a business meeting. Do you not believe the Prime Minister when he said that it was a business meeting?
Well, he believes it, and no, I don't think he even believes it, in fairness. But Ryman and Stationers have got a new range in for next year.
Yep.
We're selling wine and cheese. Because there's obviously going to be a big
That's
demand.
What offices need.
Big demand for offices.
I'm guessing a lot of retail businesses have just gone to the wall.
Well, many have, and our balance sheets have been shot blatantly, but many have had to re-look at their model. The problem is with retail at the moment, you've got two parts of retail. You've got the physical and you've got the online. The physical pays all the tax, and the online makes all the profit and sends it to the States, or somewhere else.
Yep.
And the government still can't seem to grasp that business rates nettle that is damaging physical retail. And at some stage, and it might just be too late, someone's going to wake up and say, oh yeah, we've got this big piece of cake that's growing on this side, and we've got this piece of cake that's getting smaller on this side, and we're taxing the small piece of cake that's getting smaller, and then we're realising we need more money, so we tax them even more, and the piece of the cake that's getting bigger, we just leave alone. We don't bother with that. It's just ridiculous. We need to modernise our taxation methods.
And corporation tax going up is another problem, isn't it?
Well, listen, I don't mind the corporation tax is an interesting one. And I've been asked this question many times before. I don't mind paying tax on profits. What I do mind is paying tax on property where you don't make profits or you don't know if you're going to make a profit. It's just an unfair tax. It's from the 1500s, and we're in a modern society, modern age. If we can't, we've changed the way we live. The way you live your life in the last 10 years, never mind 20 years, has totally changed.
Yeah.
Our taxation, the way we tax, has to change. And what we need is an adult government. At the moment, we've got the kids running riot in Downing Street. We need adults in charge.
Now, you've been involved with many, many famous names, high street names, the Robert Dyases, and all sorts.
Ryman and Stationers, Boo Avenue, yeah. Go on, keep going, go on.
No. I mean, it's a long list. But you're known for being a bit of a guru when it comes to the retail sector and when it comes to the high street. And I love the high street because you meet people, there's a social element to it, there's a community.
The real world, you mean?
Yeah,
yeah. I like the real world as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been under terrible pressure, even pre the pandemic, with, as we've discussed already, the move to online. Can the high street survive?
Of course it can survive, and it will survive. I mean, the point is, we just need to make sure we understand what we want out of life and we deal with it according to legislation in that's correct. People want to go out. And then we've got many of us, look, we've got loads of stores that are doing well, and then we've got quite a few stores, especially in London, for instance, and metropolitan areas where it's like a ghost town. You know, my chief executive was in the lift coming up in Covent Garden tube station. I don't know if you know it, it's quite deep. There's a big lift that goes up. Normally it's packed, chick to gel, you're standing in there.
Yeah.
He was the only person in the morning in that lift.
So is this work from home? You know, and I mean, this building we're in is full of corporate companies, but there's nobody here. Is work from home going to be a permanent thing? Is it a temporary thing? Is there a change of culture as a result of the pandemic?
Well, that is definitely an issue. There could be. I think there's going to be sort of hybrid. I think people will look to work sometime from home. And you know, in some ways, I can live that. But there's certain industries, there's certain jobs that especially when you're training and you're learning the job, you want to be amongst others. You want to hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
You know, what the...
And for young people,
and to learn.
To learn from older people. I agree.
And you've got to look at the serious issue of mental state. And, you know, if you're stuck... A lot of youngsters are in bedsits, sharing a flat, sharing a house, and their only space is their bedroom. Our guys and girls don't really want to work in their bedroom. Yeah. They want to get out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we've got to be realistic.
Well, I hope you're right. I do fear there has been something of a cultural change.
There has, and I do believe, this is my personal view for what it's worth, and it's worth exactly what you're paying me to be here. Absolutely nothing. But the fact is, I do actually believe there will be a kickback towards people wanting to get out, which is why when things open up again, people are going to restaurants, they're spending more money in restaurants, they're spending more money in shops. We've got, in our stores, we've got 22% less customers coming in.
Yep.
But the ones that are coming in are actually spending more.
Yeah, OK. No, well, that's good. I'm very pleased to hear it. Now, entrepreneur, you know, tuck shop at school when you're 15, on you go, and you really build a big name for yourself on Dragon's Den. You're one of you're there for episode after episode. I'm going to show you a quick clip. This is Theo Paphitis on Dragon's Den. Let's have a look.
I'll have a drink.
That was the BBC's Dragon's Den, and you had great fun doing it, didn't you?
I did. I'm very much a product man. I'm a shopkeeper. We have products, we buy products, we sell products. They've got to be fit for purpose. We want our customers to buy them. We don't really want them to bring it back, right? So we want to make sure they're fit for purpose and they do what we say they're going to do. And you know, I always like to test products, and if they fail, they fail.
But there were some great successes that came out of Dragon's Den.
Look, it was fabulous. I did 8, 9 years, I can't remember now, but it was great fun. We had the good, the bad, I had some uglies as well, where I lost my money very quickly. So there you go. Anyone says they don't lose money investing is not telling you the truth. Or never invested. Of course. You know, it's the risk. We're not gamblers. It's a risk-reward ratio. You have to assess a business, and not all will go right. And it's then up to the people. I mean, some people came on Dragon's Den early on, especially early on, where they thought they won the lottery, and the minute they left there, they were going to put the fee up, light up a cigar, and we were going to run their business for them. Shock horror. That's not how it works.
Entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I look at the front bench of the Conservative Party. I look at the front
Hopefully not often.
I would try not to, but I look at the front bench of the Labour Party even less often. I'm not sure we've got anybody running the country with any concept of entrepreneurship. Am I right about that?
I think you would come to that conclusion very quickly just by the things they've done. Look, this present cabinet and government have been in power, a couple of years? I mean, they've done nothing, absolutely nothing. I can't say how disappointed I am. And if they're listening today to this show, I can tell you, I am incredibly disappointed. They've done nothing, delivered nothing. I mean, yes, someone said, oh, we delivered Brexit. No, you didn't. You jumped off the cliff without a parachute, hoping it would be all right when you landed at the other side. Right?
And the opportunities that Brexit could give to small business with simplification of regulations, and none of that's happened.
There's been nothing. Then there's been nothing at all. I mean, so we could have been in the EU, could have been in nowhere land. Since then, we've done nothing. Then we've got COVID comes along. It's unfortunate. It's been a tough act for anybody being in government, I'm sure. But there comes a time where you have to put your hands up and you be realistic. Tell people the bad news as well as the good news straight up. People are realistic. They understand these things. But now it just feels that you just don't believe a word anybody from the government says. There's no integrity or honesty. And there's some of the stuff they're asking us now to believe, quite honestly, just comes out of comic books. And, you know, you can only say it so many times before you become a laughing stock.
You're pretty scathing about them, aren't you?
I'm just shocked. I'm just shocked, especially recent events where, you know, if they made a mistake and they did something that he disagreed with, and it happened, and a few people opened a bottle of wine in the garden, but they were working, that's fine. Just say it. Put your hands up and just say it and apologise. Move on. Yeah. Don't run this shaggy dog story that goes on.
I drove 25 miles to test my eyesight.
Oh, yeah, well, that's another one. I mean, we need it. I'm saying it on it right now. We need to get a grip. It's not too late, but we need to get a grip. And we've got to absolutely show some honesty, integrity, because that's what the country now needs. And leadership. We need leadership. We can't just say, have a Christmas party, don't have a Christmas party. I'm not sure whether you should isolate. Maybe you should isolate. I mean,
I know. No, I get it. And now, before the break, before you came on, I did a little story about UK tech. The UK tech sector, money is flooding in.
Yep.
The UK tech sector. We're miles behind San Francisco Bay, but money is flooding in. Some of it's British investors, a lot of American investors putting money into the country. I still feel that despite government not understanding business, wanting to help business, despite not taking advantage of Brexit in a way that we could, there's still a lot of entrepreneurial flair in this country, isn't there?
This country, what was it, little fella, French bloke?
Yeah.
Napoleon,
Yeah.
that was him. What did he say about...
Nation of shopkeepers.
Nation of shopkeepers. What's a shopkeeper? It's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
They start a business. And this country's full of it. I mean, that spirit's been installed in me, not from my parents. My parents were humble people, but just from my surroundings of being in the UK. I came in as an immigrant in 1966. And just by meeting people, talking to people, seeing the opportunities and everything that's there, this has been a great country for entrepreneurs and should remain so. We're going to make sure we don't lose that spark.
Yeah, and we can make it even better.
Absolutely.
That's how I feel about it. Now, a separate side of your life, which I bet many of the viewers don't know about, is your love of sport and your love, in particular, of football. Now, there's one football club that possibly unfairly has...
Much maligned. Maligned.
In fact, I remember when I led UKIP, I did once compare it to Millwall Football Club.
No one likes us, we don't care.
Exactly. But you were chairman of Millwall for years.
I was. Again, 8 years, most amazing 8 years of my life. Loved every last minute of it. Again, we had the highs and the lows, the good, the bad and the ugly. I remember the day I became chairman, my brother ringing me up and saying, "Are you sure?
Yeah.
Millwall Football Club, do you remember?" Because we used to go there as kids. He said, and something awful happened to him once. And they said, "Do you remember?" He said, "They're going to string you alive." I said, "I don't think so." And do you know what? It was just an amazing time. I met some of the most wonderful people. And it was, for me, it was a life's ambition, it was a dream. And I wouldn't have changed it for the world.
And you had some success whilst you were chairman.
We had lots of success. We got to Wembley. We got promoted. We got to an FA Cup final.
Yeah.
We qualified for Europe for the first time in our history. So we had lots and lots of fun.
Yeah, but Millwall still today. I mean, a game a couple of weeks ago against Crystal Palace.
I remember her.
Which turned pretty ugly.
Crystal Palace? I couldn't agree with you more.
No.
I couldn't agree with you more.
No. You're doing a Boris Johnson.
There's a song about that, isn't it? Palace, who? A palace.
No, you're doing a Boris Johnson now and trying to deflect and defer. The fact is,
no, you go
once again, Millwall fans have behaved in a way that has slightly brought the club into disrepute.
So what happened? What happened?
Well, it was chanting at players and it was pretty nasty stuff, apparently.
Okay, so I spent, the guy what was his name? Campbell, Alistair.
Yeah.
You remember him?
I certainly do.
Burnley supporter.
Yep. Yeah, director of Burnley, I think, yeah.
Oh, I can't remember who was the director of Burnley, but he certainly used to come to the matches when we played Burnley.
Yep.
But, he heard all sorts of chants at the Den, which was quite amazing because nobody else heard those particular chants. And in one particular instance while I was there, I'm just using some of the much maligned. I'm not saying Millwall Football Club supporters haven't been guilty, like many, many other club supporters, of overstepping the mark, right? And you name any club and I'll find you a situation where... But when it happens at Millwall, it's news. It's an earthquake. And there was a situation a few years back where I opened my red top newspaper and, my God, there was the headlines about Millwall supporters chanting Nazi chants. I thought, oh my God, when was this? On Saturday, I was there. I thought, I didn't hear any of that. And this guy wrote this whole article, and we were playing Brighton. And he mistook Seagulls, which was the Brighton.
Right, yeah.
For something else. And this article got printed. Yes, we got a retraction, we got an apology, but it was instantly accepted that this must be true.
Is that the price we pay for having a free press and free speech?
Well, I suppose it is, and we've got regulators, and generally, you know, when the press has shown that they've got something wrong, sensible newspapers will retract.
Yeah.
And this particular Red Top did, and they did a nice article and everything else. So the problem is anything that happens at Millwall is exaggerated, magnified. You know, I saw there was, you missed a bit, that there was a soft drinks bottle that was thrown on the pitch. Okay? Yeah. But that's happened every week for the last God knows how many weeks at Premier League grounds. But it hasn't been reported.
But it's Millwall.
You know, I get it. No, yes, they're not angels. Yes, they overstep the mark sometimes, but no more than a lot of other clubs.
Very spirited defence of Millwall. Now, Theo, you've been very successful, you've done well, you've made money, and you've clearly now want to give a little bit back. Just tell us a little bit about your charitable foundation and what it does.
Oh, wow. OK, I didn't come talk about that. But,
well, that's important.
It is. Look, we do lots of things. We support mainly kids. On-site is one of the things and charities that wasn't proposed. Charities that we support. We supported Comic Relief for many, many years. And it's, for us, raising money within the organisation and the business is an important thing, but it's our way of giving things back. But actually, I feel guilty sometimes, because for all the money, and we have raised millions and millions and millions of pounds, for all that money we raised, quite honestly, we've had a lot more back, because the ability for all our colleagues, and there's 4,500 of us, to work together, to drive together to one thing and join in, and the benefits of that gives back to us all.
And team building.
It's far in excess of anything that we actually give to other people.
Interesting. As you look to the future, are you optimistic?
Optimistic. I'm nervous. I think maybe it's my age at the moment, but there's also excitement there, and there's an opportunity, because we are in a transformation period at the moment. There's lots of things changing, and if we get the right support, by right support, I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about legislation, the environment that we need, it's really exciting. My nervousness is I just don't want to throw it away.
Couldn't agree more.
And waste it.
Theo Paphitis, thank you for joining me on
Pleasure.
Talking Pints. Great stuff.
Hello there, I'm Eamon.
And I'm Isabel.
And you're watching the GB News digital stream across the United Kingdom.
And around the world.
If you're here in the UK, you can also watch us on your TV screen. GB News is Freeview channel 236.
On Sky, we're channel 515.
626 on Virgin Media.
Just remember, you might need to retune your TV to watch the channel.
Yeah, and if you are doing that, find out more about retuning by going to gbnews.uk.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, Talking Pints, where over a drink, we have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
My
name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join me, Mark White, here on GB News. For more than 2 decades, I've been at the sharp end of reporting crime and security at home and abroad. From the scourge of terrorism to the fight against violent crime and the deepening small boats crisis in the Channel, they're issues you rightly care about, and so do I. As GB News Home and Security Editor, my focus will be on the stories that matter to you.
It's open. The GB News Tavern is open. And joining me on Talking Pints is Member of Parliament for the Conservative Party, Andrew Bridgen. Welcome, Andrew.
Cheers.
To Talking Pints.
So it's just another normal day in number 10 then?
Well, interesting, isn't it? So you're one of 6 MPs that's publicly come out and called on Boris Johnson to resign. I've spoken to several who in private say exactly the same thing, but you know they're worried about what their local association may think, although we saw the Sutton Coldfield vote the other night, the committee 10-0 for him to go. What made you decide to break cover last week?
I think the Prime Minister's position had become untenable. The revelations I predicted last Wednesday weren't going to stop, so the problem just gets worse. The government's paralysed. The Prime Minister can't function as he needs to. The government can't function, and that makes the whole position untenable. And the evidence we've seen, what I've seen, is it appears that Boris Johnson and the clique around him in number 10, they can do what they want. And during lockdown, the rest of us had to do what we're told. That's unacceptable to me.
And you didn't get invited to any of them?
No, and it's unacceptable to me. It's unacceptable for my constituents. And what it isn't, Nigel, is it's not levelling up, is it, in my book?
No, that's a very fair point. Now, some fresh revelations out, or accusations, I should say, more accurately. Dominic Cummings is now making fresh allegations, as I understand it, that Boris Johnson knew about the invitation to the big, bring your own booze party. But more seriously, and I've been watching what the Prime Minister's been saying in the House of Commons. There was no party when it was about the 18th of December. He didn't say parties. So he's obviously been very careful about what he's been saying all the way through this. Cummings is, tonight, accusing the Prime Minister of lying to the House of Commons. You've seen that, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's tremendously serious. Clearly, someone's lying, either Dominic Cummings lying or the Prime Minister's lying. And quite honestly, if it is the Prime Minister, as far as I'm concerned, that's career-ending. You do not lie to Parliament. That is a resignation matter.
So Sue Gray will report, I don't know, is it next week? Is it the week after?
Well, I don't know, because, I think she's probably got more work to do than she started with, because the accusations keep piling up.
And some of it, Keir Starmer has been pictured in an office having a drink. He was on a constituency visit. The Daily Mail are screaming for him to apologise. But, he was having a beer, but it could have been a cup of tea, couldn't it? Not everything, not the whole list of 14 or 15 of these now that it is. They weren't all parties, were they?
I think we're up to about 20 now, aren't we?
Oh, are we?
I think it was 17, 18 or 20. Well, clearly the Prime Minister wasn't at all of them, but they were going on in government, a lot of them in number 10. And as far as I'm concerned, when you run an organisation, you set the culture. It's no good moaning about the culture after you've been the boss for 2 years. You set the culture.
I've been talking tonight about this red meat strategy, and suddenly all the Conservative things that you were elected on have come back on the agenda. We're not talking about net zero today. The Royal Navy going into the Channel and everything else. I know you're a fairly, well, I would say in some ways traditional conservative in the sense that you believe in free markets and enterprise and all of those things. Is Boris Johnson and actually many of those around him, are they actually conservatives, Andrew?
Well, what's I think annoyed me is he now wants to deliver a lot of the things that the backbenchers have been calling for, but they're actually the things that we promised in our manifesto at the general election. And to dole them out now is almost like giving out sweeties to placate children, but they're sweeties you had in your pocket all the time and the sweeties you promised us a long time ago. Why now? Why haven't we done this before?
Because his priorities changed. Suddenly, net zero, combating global warming, a raft of social issues, these became the main things, didn't they?
And I don't remember us promising any of those in our manifesto. That isn't what we were elected on. And it's been tremendously frustrating. I've found myself as a sort of middle-of-the-road Thatcherite, unable to vote with the government on numerous occasions. I didn't vote for the Owen Paterson debacle before Christmas. I didn't vote for the national insurance increases. They need to be reversed. That's a tax on jobs. And I didn't vote for Plan B. That was completely unnecessary and probably cost the economy around about 30 billion, which would have been very handy to reverse the national insurance increases and help people out with the cost.
What are the arguments, Andrew? What are the arguments as to why more MPs haven't broken cover? Is because they say there is no obvious alternative. When you look at the names that are currently, and of course we never know, because John Major came from nowhere through the middle. Margaret Thatcher came from nowhere through the middle. And a lot could change, you know, a lot could change. But assuming there is a leadership election this summer, which I think it will be, unless something devastating happens after May, after those local elections, is my guess, but I mean, who knows? But when you look at Liz Truss, Rishi Sunak, are you really going to get your kind of conservative with them?
Well, we have a system for voting and selecting a new leader of the Conservative Party.
That wasn't what I asked you.
My views are probably slightly controversial. I feel I feel slightly let down by the cabinet that things have been allowed to go on which shouldn't have gone on, and people have not walked, people have not complained. And quite honestly, I'd like to see someone from outside the cabinet be the next leader of the Conservative Party. We haven't got that long until the next general election. I think it needs to be someone who's known for a record of being a Conservative and obviously someone with the highest integrity.
Well, let's wait and see what happens. Now, talking of integrity, I turned my newspapers today to see the name Andrew Bridgen up in lights, a company in Ghana who you'd had asked some questions on behalf of, some complicated tax affairs to do with forestry. And, you know, the story is there. Bridgen acts for this company and then receives money. So you're in trouble too.
Yeah, that's complete fiction, Nigel. I mean, look at the timing. I could criticise Number 10 last week and I'm smeared in the Times on a Monday morning. As a colleague, when I walked into the tea room this morning, said, they're not even as subtle, are they? They don't even wait a few days before they smear you now.
So how do you fight back against this?
Well, I'll just tell you the truth. Mere Plantations have got a sales function in my constituency. They've got an issue over, they were regarded, growing trees in Africa, that was regarded by anybody from the tax office as it must be a scam. They'd offered to fly tax inspectors out there to inspect it. They said, oh, you're trying to bribe us. They came to me and said, if we took you out there and showed you the 16,000 acres of teak trees we've been planting for the last 8 years, you met with the Ghanaian Forestry Commission and they guaranteed it, and then you go and see the High Commission.
And you did go out?
And I went out there, declared it all, saw the trees, went and had a meeting with the High Commission, our High Commission in Accra, the business attaché, and I said, why have I had to fly to Accra to look at a UK company with £160 million worth of exports for UK out of those trees in Africa? Why have I had to come and verify all these trees for the Inland Revenue when you should have done it? And he said, I don't have a budget. I said, well, if you don't have a budget to visit the biggest plantation of British trees in West Africa, what's your point? And to add insult to injury, I went then with Mia to a rather nice restaurant in Accra, and who walked in 10 minutes after with a big group of colleagues? It was the business attaché. I did ask him then, have you got a budget for this? And he said he had. Well, I complained to the minister when I got back, and I can tell you now, he was removed from office.
So straight talking, this is the last we're going to hear of it, yeah?
Yes.
All right. Now, Andrew, I can't work out really how you're a Conservative MP. I find it very odd. You didn't go to Eton. You didn't go to Oxford.
Comprehensive school boy.
You didn't do PPE. No. You didn't then go and work in a research office and spend your entire life in Westminster in the bubble. You actually, I mean, and this, I know many would look down upon you for this, but you actually had a job before politics. Tell us all about it.
My father was disabled when he was 48. I set up a business with my little brother with £1,000 and built it into a 30 million turnover food business based in my constituency, employing 300 people.
So food processing, yeah?
Food processing, nothing sexy, potatoes and prepared vegetables, but it's a very regular business. Food industry is very stable and it's very cooperative as well. So you basically just, as long as you do the right job, you're just pushing food into the pipeline
and you
for the consumers.
You know, you reached some good positions with the Institute of Directors and all the rest
Regional
of it.
chairman of the Institute of Directors, and I was voted Young Executive of the Year UK when I was young in 2000.
So you were making good money?
Yes, I took a very, very big pay cut to be an MP.
You see, people don't believe that.
I know.
People just
when
don't
people
believe
on the
that.
doorsteps occasionally will say, you're all here just doing it for the money, I do get a bit peeved at times, but...
And I mean, like you, I was in business. I was in the commodities business, in the city, different business, but still in the private sector. And I got involved in politics, you know, for a passion. And for me, it was the European thing. And you feel that very strongly too. One of the Spartans, and thank goodness that May deal didn't go through, which made a big difference to the future of British politics. But what motivated you? Because
I built a factory in northwest Leicestershire, and through my links to the Institute of Directors, I was told that the planning authority I was building my factory in were the least business friendly in the whole of the East Midlands, and so we planned a political coup. I managed to persuade lots of friends to stand for the district council. The deal was, you stand for the district council, I'll help you get in. We'll take control of the council for the first time in 40 years from the Labour Party. I'll stand for MP. And the rest is history, Nigel. We had the second biggest swing in the country in North West Leicestershire against Labour. So I turned 4,500 Labour to 7,500 Conservative in one jump. My majority's gone up. We've delivered highest growth outside London and the South East. And I think 2019, before the election, it was the happiest place to live in the East Midlands.
We're not going to put all that down to Andrew Bridgen, let me tell you.
No, of course not. But it was not all down to me. My constituents are really hard-working and really good people, but it probably wouldn't have happened without me.
And it's a lovely part of the world, too.
It's a lovely part of the world.
Absolutely.
Very, very decent people. They very straight-talking, and that's the sort of MP they want.
You've been in Parliament for over a decade.
Yes.
From what I can see, you've got no ministerial ambitions.
I was offered one ministerial role. That was by David Cameron's administration. If I'd campaigned for Remain, I could have been the immigration minister. I said, you really hate me, don't you? So you're the immigration minister with no control over immigration. I said, I'm sorry, I'm campaigning for Leave. And I led the Leave campaign in the East Midlands.
Yeah, I know you did, and you felt it very, very strongly. Has it? You know, you've been in this a decade, elected for a decade. You are one of the higher profile backbenchers in the sense that you're prepared to speak out on a number of issues, and, you know, Bridgen pops up on the TV on a regular basis, and some people like it and some don't, and hey, that's the way it is. Is it worth it? Is politics worth it for you?
There are huge rewards, and however long I'm in politics and whatever position I might achieve in the future or not, the most rewarding thing will be being one of only 2 MPs who fought for 10 years and got justice for the sub-postmasters. The biggest miscarriage of justice in this country's history, when people were telling me, no, you're barking up the wrong tree, Andrew. This computer system's fantastic. Look, all these sub-postmasters are all crooks. And they weren't, Nigel. They were all honest people.
It's one of the biggest miscarriages we've ever had, isn't it?
It is the biggest miscarriage.
It is the biggest.
Yeah. And putting that right, and we're still working on the compensation for them, and it's actually with a Labour MP. It's Kevin Jones, the MP for Durham North.
Yeah.
We've stuck together for 10 years on that, and we've got there, and no one can take that away from you. And there are great rewards in business, and they're all monetary.
Yeah.
But there are other rewards in politics, which you can't put a price on, and that's one of them.
So Bridgen's staying in politics for the foreseeable, yeah?
the foreseeable future is only ever the next election, as you know, Nigel.
Yeah, I think in North West Leicestershire you're pretty safe, really, don't you?
If they want me, I must stay.
To get kicked out, you'd have to do something really dreadful, like be disloyal to the Prime Minister.
Well, my inbox over the weekend, I suspect most Conservative MPs' inboxes, maybe most MPs' inboxes. I mean, I had 1,000 emails on that topic on Saturday alone. I put my head over the parapet, and it was 80-20 against the Prime Minister's position.
Do you like Boris?
As a person, great guy, and I voted for him and campaigned for his leadership. But I didn't think that he was going to be brilliant at running the country. I knew he could win us an election. I knew he'd get Brexit done, which he did. But I thought it would be rather the same sort of administration he had in London, where he'd have very, very capable people doing all the things he doesn't like doing the detail, doing the heavy lifting, let Boris do what he's good at, what Boris is good at, which is winning elections and selling messages. And quite honestly, I think that's not happened.
Andrea Bridgen, thank you for joining me on Talking Pints. Thank you.
Hello there, I'm Eamon.
And I'm Isabel.
And you're watching the GB News digital stream across the United Kingdom.
And around the world.
If you're here in the UK, you can also watch us on your TV screen. GB News is Freeview channel 236.
On Sky, we're channel 515.
626 on Virgin Media.
Just remember, you might need to retune your TV to watch the channel.
Yeah, and if you are doing that, find out more about retuning by going to gbnews.uk.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, Talking Pints, where over a drink, we have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
Well, the GB News pub is open, but tonight, actually, our guest is being served with a cup of tea. So, but you still, Jay Aston, can say cheers with your cup of tea.
Yeah.
And welcome to the programme.
Well, thank you very much.
Now, I'm just trying to picture this. You're 19 years old.
Yes.
And you're in a band, Bucks Fizz, and you go off and win the Eurovision Song Contest. It's like, let's have a look at winning the Eurovision Song Contest. Yep, I watched it live. It's quite a few years ago, isn't it?
It is. It's many. It's 40.
It's 40.
Yes.
But I'm just thinking, you're 19, and suddenly from obscurity.
Yeah, overnight.
It's overnight stardom.
Yeah.
And you're 19 years old.
Yeah.
Must have been an amazing feeling.
Oh, it was incredible. One of the best days of my life. Very hectic directly after it for a few years. But my brother did Eurovision the year before, and he was in a band called Prima Donna, and they came second. So I kind of knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I was brought into a showbiz family. So when we were kids, we kind of had a bet, and we both wanted to win Eurovision when I was about 9.
Did you really?
Yeah. I don't think he's ever forgiven me, but yeah, my brother came second, so.
So suddenly stardom, and you had that hit record, you had other successes.
Yeah, it was huge hits, yeah.
And you sold how many? Millions of records.
Millions of records.
And you had fame.
Yeah.
How did you cope with that?
Well, I think I was a bit young, I have to say. I think Mike and Cheryl and Bobby, being that bit older, probably coped with it differently. But I had been brought into a showbiz family.
Yeah, you said.
So my dad was a comic. And so my whole childhood was, if I wasn't at school, I was on the side of a stage. Or we were, working on scripts or costumes or choreography. So it was quite natural to me. And I was gigging when I was 14, going to school and then doing shows. So it was just a bit of fun, and I never really thought we'd win.
No.
3 minutes to change your life, that's what they said to you, and we did.
But that makes it even better.
Working off of it now, 40 years on.
But off the back of that, and selling, Land of Make-Believe and the things you did then, I mean, you should have made a fortune.
We should have.
What happened? What went wrong?
We had a terrible deal. We had a really bad deal. In fact, when we first met, we went to see a lawyer, and we couldn't afford a proper lawyer, so we went to Equity, our union.
Yep.
And the guy there read the contract and went, it's not very good. It changed like 1 or 2 things. But then when I left the band years later, we found out that he wasn't a proper lawyer. So we signed this contract, which looked like it could run for sort of 2 or 3 years, but it had the potential to run for 20 years. So your whole career.
Yeah.
On a 3-minute song. And so, yeah, it was... But, I mean, it was still a wonderful experience.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it was. And it was all going wonderfully well, and you were touring the country.
Yeah.
And then the first of several things I think that we share in common in terms of life experience.
Yeah.
There's an horrendous crash, isn't there?
Yes, absolutely. That was terrible. Christmas 1984, we just started a tour. It was the second night, and we were in Newcastle. And the next night, we were meant to make it to Wembley. Never made it to Wembley. So on the way back, we're just going back to the hotel after the gig, sold-out tour, and we hit this lorry. And it had steel on it, so it was literally like hitting a wall. And Mike Nolan was particularly badly injured. I mean, most of the roof came off of the vehicle. And so many of the musicians were hurt as well. And it changed our lives. In fact, it was that really made me decide to leave the band. Because there was always friction, you see, but within the band. And it just felt like someone was saying, that's the end, it's finished. Mike Nolan had the last rites read over him, so I couldn't see a future. And he was terribly badly injured, and it's taken him decades, really, to recover. But he has done an incredible job, he is quite remarkable, and we're still gigging, so... But it was tragic.
So literally, I mean, the world's going wonderfully well, and suddenly it's a disaster. You said there were frictions within the band before the crash, but there are frictions in every band, aren't there?
Well, always, yes. I mean, we were a manufactured band, one of the first, and that has its problems. And the thing is, Mike and Cheryl were very close, and Bobby was that bit older, and they would always disagree, and I would be the floating vote. So I think with all bands, it's difficult, and it's also the workload you're dealing with, and all the travelling and all of that, and the egos, of course.
Yeah, so, which is going to happen, but bands can still get on. I mean, they can still go on for years and years and years, despite those difficulties and despite those tensions. But this was a very, very dramatic end for you, and you were lucky, perhaps, not to be more seriously hurt, frankly.
Yes, I mean, I hit. It's a silly story, but I always say Tangerine saved my life. I was sat at the front of the van of the coach. And I wanted to go up the back to the loo, and there was this fruit rolling about. So I picked the fruit up because it was all going on over on the side. And as I picked the fruit up, I saw my manager and I went, "Oh, can I have a word?" And I heard someone say, "We're going to hit that." And so literally, if I hadn't been tidying, I would have been in a different position. I'd have been up the front, or I would have been in the bathroom area where the main girder of the coach would have literally gone right straight through me. So it's all those split-second decisions that change your life.
Bits of luck. That amazing 3 minutes that you had, and you weren't the only British people ever to win it. But, I mean, Eurovision now, I was joking in the intro before the break, I think we should leave. It's time to leave the Eurovision Song Contest. But, I mean, it would appear, even before Brexit, that a lot of countries out there just don't like us. It doesn't seem to matter how good or bad the British act is. The vast TV audience, I mean, and I used to tune into it every year. And, you know, when Terry Wogan was doing it, he was absolutely
He was brilliant. I really missed him.
And a lovely sense. Delightful.
Wonderful man.
Delightful man.
Yeah.
Delightful man. But we're doing, I mean, the whole thing's rigged against us, isn't it? We've got no more chance in Eurovision than we had in the European Union.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. I mean, there's always been political voting, and because there's so many different countries now, you know, there's so many different tastes and flavours. So I think it's very, very hard to win that competition. And I think what we're doing is wrong if we don't make enough effort.
We're coming last.
Oh, it was horrendous. I was so embarrassed. I was so like, how can we come last? I mean, but we obviously aren't putting in the right thing. We're not putting in the right song and the right artist. And I do think we could do better. I don't think we could win, but I do think we could end up on the right side of the leaderboard.
Well, it seems to me for the last few years, the political voting has been extraordinary, loaded against us in the most ridiculous way. I mean, I just think we're whistling in the wind with it. But you still think that we should pursue it?
I really think anything that brings that amount of people together to listen to music and have a bit of fun and enjoy themselves, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a positive thing.
But it's making the country angry.
I think loads of people still love it. I don't think we should pull out, really. I just think we need to put in a good song. And I've actually got a confession to make. I've put a song in this year.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen.
As I say, you know, major road traffic accident, cancer, Brexit party, our daughters were at school together. Jay Aston, we've got quite a lot in common. Big thank you to you for coming in and joining me.
Oh, my
Talking
pleasure.
Pints.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Judi James, author and body language expert, is my guest tonight on Talking Pints. Welcome, Judi.
Welcome. I feel unduly girly having a Prosecco.
Well, you have whatever you like.
Should have had real ale, shouldn't I? But...
No, we have people have cups of tea. That is, believe it or not, alcohol-free lager.
Do I believe that? Let me look at your body language. I'm not sure.
No, he actually yielded. I'm in trouble already. I mean, before we get to body language, and I mean, I must say it would be terrifying to go and have lunch with you because you'd be analysing me the whole time. But I want to talk a little bit. You've had a very, very interesting life, starting off on the catwalk,
yes,
and then becoming someone that sort of helped and coached and advised other people, and one or two famous clients that sort of came through you.
Gosh, should I name names? But
go on. Over a drink. No one's watching, honestly. It's fine.
That's fine. And I also don't believe that body language. You might be my first famous client, actually, the way we're going. Yes, I have had several famous clients. I tend to do corporate work, so I tend to speak at conferences or have larger groups. But high-up people in the industry, not politicians, I have to say. So for me, this is like my Attenborough moment, sitting with the kind of people that I'm normally analysing myself. So sitting with a politician who's actually not hating me right now.
Ex-politician.
Once a politician.
No, I was a businessman for years, politics.
It's in your blood.
I wasn't, but funny enough, actually, I wasn't in it for a career. I was in it because I wanted to bring change.
And that did show.
And I meant that, and I think with that, actually, people could see it, you know.
Yeah, it does. That literally does come out in your body language, in your charisma. Listen, we're probably jumping ahead now, but it would be the same thing with Trump. It's somebody who's not a politician, so that people like the feel of that, I think, now.
Yeah, we'll come back to career politicians in a moment. There've been a few of them. But somehow this sort of, you know, going and becoming a coach, and Naomi Campbell was someone that you helped, and that must have been an incredible thing to do. But you've become this extraordinary author. Share with us the books that you've written.
I've written 26 books, I have to say that, because my mother would kill me if I didn't, about almost anything. I mean, a lot of it to do with my job, so communications, body language. I've written what everything says about you, so I probably analysed the pint that you're drinking right now, which was more of a tongue-in-cheek book. But I've written novels as well, and I think back in the day they were called bonkbusters.
Yep.
Which was a bit of a showstopper, but...
And does that make money?
Oh, yes, absolutely. No, that was the money spinner. Business books are good, but you do kind of need something you know those Awaken the Giant within books where people actually don't read them, they just buy them for the title. If you've got that kind of book charisma, that's where you make all the money, where people...
But you're sort of writing books, you know, trying to, I guess, inspire people to succeed in different areas of life. Do people still buy books? I mean, something like that, would they go to Kindle, perhaps, or would they still buy a book?
I think a bit of both. I think that was during lockdown that people went back to books again. I absolutely love the whole experience of a book myself. I like the paper, the feel of it. I'm a person that will read a book where it looks as though nobody's looked at it. I kind of peep in between because I don't like breaking the spine. And I think people do still like that experience. And I regret slightly that I now read most of my newspapers online. I used to love going out, doing the whole cafe experience, you know, with a lovely newspaper, and I'd actually read it, whereas now there's less of a tendency to get into the article. It's headline. Yeah, flicking
through. What interests me is, how do you become a body language expert? I mean, there's no sort of university course in it. I mean, and clearly, the number of television programmes you've been on across all the channels talking about this and analysing people, how do you get into it?
That's like, how did you get into politics? I mean, I think these things find you and grow on you in a way. I almost predate when body language was a big deal. So it wasn't as though I was following a trend or anything. There wasn't, I mean, clearly body language was around forever, but it was something that I was asked to do because I was doing a lot of advice to people going on job interviews, school leavers, and I thought, actually, I wonder if there's more to it than most of the books were telling them.
Fascinating. I'm going to get you back on at some big dramatic moments and ask your view. And it's a delight to have you on Talking Pints.
Cheers, lovely to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Looking ahead to this afternoon, and the UK is looking mostly dry, although there will be some patchy rain across western and northern Scotland. Let's take a look at the details. Zooming into the southwest, and although it will be dry, there will be a good deal of cloud around this afternoon. Best of the brightness will be across Dorset and Somerset. Moving east towards the southeast England and East Anglia, again it will be dry, but with plenty of cloud around. The cloud will then thin, especially across East Anglia. There could be the odd spot of drizzle across northwest Wales. Otherwise, the rest of Wales and the Midlands will be dry with a few sunny spells. Northwest England will also be rather cloudy today, with the best of any sunshine across Cumbria and Lancashire. Most will be dry, but some drizzle is possible perhaps across the Pennines. Temperatures will reach 8 degrees Celsius. Moving across the Pennines, and it should be much brighter across northeast England, with more in the way of sunshine. In the sunshine and light winds, temperatures will reach 10 degrees Celsius. Into Scotland, and for many it will be cloudy with some rain, especially in the north and west. It will be breezy across northern areas, but milder with highs of 11 Celsius. Northern Ireland will see a mix of cloud and sunny spells, with perhaps the odd spot of drizzle across the higher ground. Highs here will reach 9 or 10 Celsius. Heading into this evening, and we see little change, with the rather cloudy but largely dry weather continuing, and that is the weather is shaping up for the rest of the day.
Hello there, I'm Eamon.
And I'm Isabel.
And you're watching the GB News digital stream across the United Kingdom.
And around the world. If
you're here in the UK, you can also watch us on your TV screen. GB News is Freeview channel 236.
On Sky, we're channel 515.
626 on Virgin Media.
Just remember, you might need to retune your TV to watch the channel.
Yeah, and if you are doing that, find out more about retuning by going to gbnews.uk.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, Talking Pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
And Dan Wootton, join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
Hello and welcome to GB News on TV and on your digital radio. I'm Nana Acquia, and for the next 2 hours, me and my panel will be taking on some of the big topics that are hitting